We're going to talk for just a little bit about 32 versus 64-bit operating systems. We're also going to discuss system requirements for Windows 7, deal with Windows 7 upgrade, what does that mean, and what is an upgrade installation versus a custom installation. There's a few rules and things that'll help you here. And then finally we'll talk briefly about Windows Anytime Upgrade. Let's deal with a 32 versus 64-bit operating system. Taking a look at our book, and this is page 24 in the book, it says 32-bit computer, also designated as x86. That's important, guys. You need to memorize that because you will see this x86 appearing, and if you don't realize that that means 32-bit, then that means you're going to have problems answering some questions. So make sure that you know that x86 means a 32-bit computer, whereas a 64-bit computer is designated as the x64. Now that obviously makes sense, whereas the x86 may not make as much sense. The easiest way to explain this, and this is a very simplified version, is think of a computer that can handle 32 bits or 32 things at one time as compared to a computer that works at 64-bit, which means it can handle 64 tasks at one time. Now that's not exactly accurate, but the point being is one can handle twice as many tasks as the other at simultaneous calculation. So the 64-bit processor is going to run faster, in most cases, than your 32-bit processor. So that's a quick definition or look at the 32 versus 64-bit. A couple things to realize as we're taking a look at Windows additions. The Windows Starter Edition is only available in this 32-bit version. So Windows Starter Edition only comes in the 32-bit edition. Windows Home, Home Premium, Professional, Ultimate, and Enterprise come in both 32 and 64-bit versions of this software. All right. '32 versus 64-bit operating systems. The one thing I do want to note here, on my website it does talk about programs. If a 64-bit operating system is installed, so you've installed Windows 7 Professional, the 64-bit version, you actually can run both the 32-bit version of a software or the 64-bit version of the software. In other words, if I've installed the 64-bit version of an operating system, I can always run either 32 or 64-bit programs. The reverse is not true. If I've installed a 32-bit operating system on my computer, I can only run 32-bit programs. I cannot run a 64-bit program on a 32-bit operating system. It won't even install. It isn't even an option. So, just so that you are aware that there are programs. So for example, I can install Microsoft Office. Office comes in a 32-bit version and it comes in a 64-bit version. The only way I'm going to be able to install that 64-bit version is if I have a 64-bit operating system running. Now, how do I know if I've got a 32 or 64-bit operating system? Well, the easiest way to do this is to bring up your system settings. The way that I got this brought up is I went to the Start button, came up to Computer, and I right-clicked on Computer and went to Properties. Right here, it will tell me what type of operating system I have installed. Here on my home computer, I'm running a 64-bit operating system, and therefore I can install both 64-bit programs as well as 32-bit programs on my computer. Here's the steps for determining the 32 or 64-bit operating system. Let's talk about system requirements. The book is going to mention several different requirements. There's one set of requirements that you do need to pay special attention to, and that is the amount of memory, RAM, all right, and the processor. The processor is actually very easy. If you take a look, 1 gigahertz processor will run all versions of Windows. Let me be more specific. A 1 gigahertz processor will run all editions of Windows 7, both 32 or 64-bit. So this is your minimum requirement. However, when it comes to memory, Microsoft recommends at least 1 gigabyte of memory for the 32-bit version of the operating system. However, if I'm going to run that 64-bit edition, I must have at least 2 gigabytes of memory. If you do, while you can install the 64-bit version with less than 2 gigabytes, so if I only have 1 gig, I could install this operating system. It will run very slow. I'm talking start your computer, go get a cup of coffee, come back, hopefully it'll be booted. All right, this is a very slow. So you want to make sure you have at least 2 gigs. To be honest, these are the requirements. If you're asked on the test, you will want to include these. But in reality, you really want at least 2 gigs for the 32-bit and 4 gigs for 64-bit. Again, that's just to be able to run comfortably. It will run on these requirements, but it will be a little slower. Now, as far as your certification goes, it's probably not going to ask much about hard disk space. Anywhere from 16 to 20 gigabytes of free space is what would be the typical response if you got asked a question relating to hard drive requirements. But generally speaking, if you're going to be asked about system requirements in some way, shape, or form, it's going to relate to processor and memory. Okay, it's not going to get too much into hard drive space. These are additional items in order to be able to run additional features. Let's talk for a second about upgrade paths. An upgrade path means I have one operating system and I want to install another operating system. So I've got Windows XP or I've got Windows Vista and I now want to install Windows 7 on my computer. What is my upgrade path? Let's talk for a second about purchasing. All right. If I go into a store, which honestly, you're not going to be able to buy Windows 7 at this point in stores. Windows 8 has been out for a while. Windows 10 has now come out. But as it relates to your certification exam, when Windows 7 was available in a store, you could buy it. You could go in and purchase one of 3 editions of Windows 7. That would be Windows 7 Home Premium, Professional, or Ultimate. You could buy what's called an upgrade package. In other words, if I have Windows XP or if I have Windows Vista, I could purchase the upgrade version and install Windows from the old operating system. It would be a little cheaper. If I have any version of Windows prior to Windows XP, so I've got Windows 95, I've got Windows 98, I've got Windows ME, in order for me to upgrade that computer to Windows 7, I am going to have to buy the full version of Windows 7. Now we're talking just purchasing. I'm not talking about installation. Now, let's talk for a second about installation. Windows XP does not, under any circumstance, have an upgrade path to Windows 7. Alright, so any version of Windows XP going to Windows 7, you are going to have to do what is called a custom install. Alright, so starting up Microsoft Word here, creating my graphical organizer here. Okay, I want to go to Windows Starter, Home, Premium, Professional, Ultimate, and Enterprise. So if I want to go to that, but I have Windows XP, all right, XP anything, XP Home, XP Professional, I have to do a custom upgrade for all of these. Reality is, as I'm thinking about this, when purchasing software, I can't purchase Windows Starter, so I'm going to remove Starter from this list. Okay, I could buy Home Premium, I could buy Professional, I could buy Ultimate. I could technically buy Enterprise, not from a store, but I could buy it from Microsoft and potentially install it. So anything XP, I'm going to have to do a custom install. That goes without saying. Also, if I've got any operating system that is 32-bit and I'm changing to 64-bit, okay, doesn't matter what the addition is. Right? It will always be a custom install. No exception. I cannot install from a 32-bit operating system to a 64-bit operating system without actually wiping the hard drive and starting over. Alright, so there is no upgrade path. Now, if, however, I've got Vista, so I've got Vista Home Premium. Well, I can actually do an upgrade install to Home Premium of Windows 7. Alright, however, if I want to go to the professional version of Windows 7, I'm going to again have to do a custom install. Going from Home Premium to Ultimate, I actually can do an upgrade install. And to Enterprise, I'm going to have to do a custom install. Vista had a business platform. And if I'm going to go, there's kind of an imaginary line right here. Alright, I'm going to just kind of shade this, not shade it. I'm going to create a border on the right here. I'm going to make a thick border. Oh, where's my single line? Oh, it's right there. It's already selected. Single line, thick border, but I'm only going to put it on the right-hand side here. Okay. Oh. But I still want all my other borders. So, I want standard line here, 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 and here. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Alright, this line right here between Home Premium and Professional, this is what I call the business line. Alright, where I'm going from a home product, and technically it is small business as well, but going from a home product to a large business product here. Okay, so if I cross over that line, typically I'm going to have to do a custom install. So here, if I went from Vista Business to Windows 7 Home, I'm kind of doing an upgrade and a downgrade at the same time. I'm upgrading from a Vista product to a 7, but I'm going from a business product to a home product. So that would require a custom upgrade. However, if I went from Vista Business to Professional, that can be done through an upgrade process. Going to Ultimate would also be upgrade. Enterprise would have to be a custom install. Generally speaking, going to custom is always, going to enterprise always is going to be a custom install unless you're going from a Vista Enterprise, which is going to be my next item here. Vista Enterprise. All of these are going to be custom at this point, except for the Enterprise, which would be an upgrade path. Alright, so Vista Business, going to Windows 7 Professional, or Ultimate would be upgrade, however Enterprise would be custom. Alright, those are your basic paths and your basic rules as far as going from one edition to another. Just want to double check my data because I was going from memory. The one thing that the book does mention is there was a Vista Home Basic. Okay. I didn't discuss Windows Vista Ultimate. Again, Vista Ultimate, custom, custom, upgrade, and it would also be a custom to go to the Enterprise version. As I stated before, going from XP to 7, you must perform a custom installation. As I stated before, anytime you change from a 32-bit version to a 64-bit, you always have to do a custom install. So, even if, going back to my chart, if I was going from Vista Business 32-bit to 7 Professional 64-bit, that would change this upgrade to a custom. Why? Because anytime I go from 32 to 64, it will always be custom. That's one of those hard and fast rules. Here it talks about previous versions. Alright, doing a previous version, you're going to have to buy the full version of Windows 7. You're also going to have to do a custom install and wipe the old system out in order to install Windows 7. Let's talk about Windows Anytime Upgrade. Windows Anytime Upgrade is where I want to change to a newer version. Let me start that again. Windows Anytime Upgrade is where I have, say for example, Home Premium, and I wish to change my system to Professional. I can purchase an Anytime Upgrade. This means I don't have to go out and buy new software. The features are already on the computer. I just have to unlock those features. How do I go about unlocking those features? I pay Microsoft to do a Windows Anytime upgrade, which is part of my operating system. And what I can do is, once I pay them, it will unlock these new features. So I can go from Home Premium, then to Professional, or I could go to Ultimate for a slightly higher cost. You can't go backwards with the Anytime upgrade, because at that point it wouldn't be an upgrade. So if I've got Windows 7 Professional, the only thing I can use the Anytime upgrade to is Ultimate. I believe it goes without saying, but the book mentions it. You can't do an Anytime upgrade from a 32 to a 64-bit. Anytime upgrade always stays 32 to 32 and 64 to 64. They never cross the line. Windows Upgrade Advisor is a tool in the website. Actually, this website here probably does not work, and the reason for it is if you go to that website, it's probably going to relate to Windows 10 at this point in time. But if you did do a Google search for Windows 7 Upgrade Advisor, you would have the ability to look for it. And if you ran this software, installed it and ran it on your computer, what it's going to do is look at your computer to see if your computer is ready to run Windows 7 or not. It's going to look at both hardware, and it's going to talk about hardware. It's going to take a look at your printers, your memory, your video card, things along those lines, as well as your software. Not all software could run on Windows 7. And so it'll look at your software that you have installed and let you know if there's going to be any problem as you make the transition, say, from a Windows Vista computer to a Windows 7 computer. So it was always advisable to use the Upgrade Advisor when you are upgrading your computer to begin with, to find out what potential problems you might have before you actually did the upgrade. This is what the Upgrade Advisor would look like, and it's possible we may be doing that as a part of one of the upcoming hands-on days. We may take a look at actually running the Upgrade Advisor. This is a screenshot that takes a look at what it might say, letting you know that a custom upgrade would be, custom installation would be required. Letting you know that if in this particular example, Outlook Express is an example of a software that's no longer supported under Windows 7. Alright, so that's why it would have flagged Outlook Express if that was on your computer. Alright, this is taking a look at hardware issues that you may encounter as it relates to upgrading this particular computer. Alright, so we've dealt with the issues relating to the topics at hand. You want to make sure that you read through those pages to make sure you have a thorough understanding of what we've talked about. Complete the key activity relating to this. Make sure that you're creating a graphical organizer similar to the one that you saw me create. I will be placing a link in Schoology to be able to upload that information.